when we're doing it.
We're live on Facebook.
Okay. Are we live? Did it?
Yeah, I see you right here.
Okay. All right. We're going to give this a try and see what we can manage. All right.
Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Technology is a thing, and we are trying something different today that might just give us a little headache, but it might actually turn out super great. So we're going to see, and we're going to just give it a shot. Okay. That's what we're doing today. It's just giving it a shot. Let's see. I didn't put everything away because this morning was just kind of chaotic trying to figure this out. So it's Sew Together Tuesday. I'm here with Sheila Ryan and another version of myself. So we should have 3 of us showing up on the screen so you guys can see us. And we're going to be doing some embroidery today. So I'm pretty excited about that. Sheila, are you there? I can't see you. Oh, right, yay, there you are. Okay, I'm going to see if I can find a screen on my computer so I can see her too and make sure that I'm talking to her. So different, this whole thing. So anyway, so we are here and we're going to do a little embroidery. So I am new to embroidery. I got an embroidery machine at the beginning of the pandemic when we started staying home. I got one and I've been working on it a little bit since. And so there's a ton to learn about it. I only see me up there. I only see one of me.
Check gallery view?
No, on Facebook.
Oh. Okay,
so let's give it a shot, see what we can make happen. Otherwise, it's just going to be Sheila in the background. I'm not sure why. Yeah, I don't know why. Okay, we're going to figure it out. Anyway, so we're going to learn a little bit of embroidery. Sheila's here. She's going to talk to me through learning how to do it, how to embroider on the Pathfinder, which is what I have. So I have a baby lock Pathfinder that has been great. And I've done a whole bunch of little things. I have, I left the other one downstairs. I think I made a cute little panda last night. This is the little rabbit. Okay. So these are some of her designs. She does them. And so this little bag that we're doing today is also one of her designs. Okay. And what is your company name, Sheila?
It's Designs by Baby Moon.
There we go. So Designs by Baby Moon. And that's just designsbybabymoon.com, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So that's where you can find a bunch of her patterns. The pattern we're going to work through today is the same. Okay. So we're going to work through that one. Yeah. So yeah, what's her name? She says we can't see Sheila on there and I want to know why. So hold on just a second. Technology, you guys. We're going to see if we can figure this out. Okay. Oh, there she is. Oh, she just has to talk.
Well, that won't be a problem.
Okay, good. Okay, so that's what it is. It pops between the 2 of us. I just saw it happen, that we're not side by side. So we're just going to pop between the 2 of us, I guess, when we're talking. So that should work out just fine. Sheila can show you what we're going to do, and then I'm going to do it, and I'm going to see if we can do it. Like I said, new to embroidery, long time Cuddle sewer now. So I've got that down, but this whole thing is going to be something new and different. And as Sheila told me, what I'm starting with is not exactly a beginner project, right?
Right.
You wouldn't necessarily suggest this one for a first project, but
you know what? If you can do it, I think anybody could do it. I mean, like it's just try it and see what happens, right?
Right. It may not work out perfectly, but you know what? Everything we do, like, and we've talked about that before on Sew Together Tuesday, is that everything that you do is just kind of a learning experience to figure out, like, oh, I like that part. I didn't like that part. Oh, that part was easy. I need to practice that. Like, it's all a matter of just doing it. So, so that's what we're going to do today. So Sheila, can you talk us through all of the different pieces that we're going to need to have and I'll make sure I have everything that you told me to have. I did download the pattern. I know that was the first step. But what else do we need?
Okay, so what else you'll need is you'll need some Cuddle fabric, of course. And this zipper bag is designed specifically for the Cuddle. So once you work with Cuddle and a zipper bag and an embroidery design all at the same time, you can take what you learned and use the Cuddle on other zipper bag designs. But I wrote the instructions specifically for working with Cuddle because it does some things that you've talked about before. It does some things differently. And so there's some little tips and tricks that we're going to talk about. But you'll need some Cuddle for the front and the back. The zipper bag has 2 sizes. So if you have a machine that has a 5x7 or a 6x10 hoop, either one of those, there are designs in the design file for both those size hoops. The 5x7 bag comes out to a little bit less than, it's less than 5x7 when you get it sewn out. And the 6x10 bag is actually a little bit less than 5x9. Those are inches, not millimeters or centimeters. 5x9 inches when it's stitched out because of the seam allowances. So you'll need 2 pieces for the front, one for the front, one for the back. You'll need 2 pieces of lining fabric, and you could use quilting cotton, or you could use some of the Shannon silky satin, which is a really luxurious inside of the bag. You'll need a zipper, and your zipper needs to be longer than the design is wide. So your zipper is going to go across the top of the bag. So if you're using a 5x7 inch hoop, then you want to use at least a 9-inch zipper. If you're using the 5x9 inch bag, you're going to want a zipper that's at least 11 or 12 inches. And you can use a longer zipper. You just want to make sure that the zipper is long enough so that the metal parts of the zipper aren't within the stitching lines of the design file. And we'll talk about that in a minute when we place our zipper. The other things that you're going to need is you're going to need some 505 spray. And if you've seen Teresa sew with Cuddle, you've seen that she uses this a lot. And when we use Cuddle and machine embroidery, 505 spray it's a great combination. So you'll want 505 spray. We're using cutaway stabilizer. So tearaway stabilizer will work, but because we don't remove most of the stabilizer in this bag, we wanted to have a little bit of softness to it. I chose to write this for cutaway stabilizer. We're going to trim a little bit of stabilizer away at the very end before we put on some of the lining parts. So we'll be cutting into the cutaway stabilizer, but we're going to use the cutaway instead of the tearaway for this bag, because when we finish, stabilizer is going to be left in the bag, and you don't want that tearaway, crinkly, crunchy feeling. The other thing that you're going to need coordinating thread. So you can do the design all in one color. But because it has this lettering set on it, I chose to use some contrasting colors. And I've done it several different ways already. So I have a purple one back there too. But some contrasting thread. But then what you use for the construction of the bag parts, it doesn't really matter, because like we've talked about with before, the thread actually kind of gets hidden inside the fibers of the Cuddle. So whatever you use, if you want to avoid changing threads so much, you could just, if your lettering is in 2 different colors, you start with whatever you're going to use for the first batch of lettering, which is the word shine. And then after you write time to, which is the second part of the lettering stitching, you would just finish the bag with that color of thread without having to worry about changing it so much. So 2 colors of thread. And then I have I have some doodads hanging out. I have a piece of fold over elastic that I've used for what was the technical term for this? It's a tab. I'm going to call it the
doohickey.
doohickey. So I have a little piece of fold over elastic that's about 3 inches long. And then I used a little tiny D-ring. These are just little D-rings. Like you could use a key ring. You could use nothing. I just kind of like the extra shine that a little piece of hardware adds to it. And then on the zipper, we've added another little dingly bopper. And this is just a split ring with a little faux leather tassel on the end, just to add it for a zipper pull. If you didn't want to do that, you could loop a piece of ribbon in through your zipper and then use a piece of ribbon to pull open and close. I think that's it. Scissors. We got scissors. Oh, water soluble stabilizer. So because we're working with Cuddle and it has a pile or a nap, well, a pile and a nap, water soluble stabilizer is really important to stitch on top of, because that will hold your stitches up on the top of the pile of the fabric. If you don't use water soluble stabilizer, which I've done a couple of times, your stitches are going to sink, and then the fluff of the Cuddle is going to hide them. So it's not going to look as crisp and clean. If you'll use the water soluble stabilizer on top and then do it the other way, or do it the other way and then do it with water soluble stabilizer, you'll definitely see a difference. So use the water soluble stabilizer, and that's it's kind of a clear film. I keep mine in a Ziploc bag because sometimes it's humid here and it kind of melts in humidity, but yours.
Yeah, I heard that you're supposed to keep it like airtight. I remember I saw it reading that somewhere, that you're supposed to keep it kind of airtight. Mine comes in a little plastic. I have the sulky kind, and so it comes in this little plastic box thing. Is it better to keep it, do you think, in a plastic bag, or can I keep it in this container?
I think if it's a dry climate, like if your house is dry, if the weather is drier, I think you're okay there. Where we are, it's been rainy lately, and so we've got more moisture in the air. It's not usually humid here, but it's wetter than it normally is. And so I have lost a whole roll, like the kind you have. I've lost a whole roll of it before by just letting it sit on my table. So I'm not taking any chances anymore because that was gross.
Yeah, and an expensive thing to replace. If you don't want to replace it if you don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah, so mine comes on a bigger roll, and I just throw the whole thing in a Ziploc bag. But you're going to want to strip not as big as the front of your bag. And if you print out in the files, there's a document called a color map. Some designers use it. They use the word stitch map or stitch plan. It's what it basically is. It's a list of the steps of the design. So
Hold up.
you have your.
I think. Hang on. I think we may have just ran into a computer glitch.
Uh-oh,
Hang
did
on.
we freeze?
It still says we're live on Facebook over
Okay.
here.
Okay, I'm going to ask her if it's still working. Hold on, because my computer says it's not.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that we're not losing people.
This definitely, hi everybody. This definitely still says we're live on Facebook over here.
Okay. Okay, because my computer says it's going to restart because it ran into a problem. So I want to make sure that we're all okay. She says we're working still, so we're just going to go with it and let my computer restart and see what happens. Okay, and if we have
Even
to
though it
restart,
was
we
the
will.
host. Oh, nope. Teresa Coates left. Oh, nope. We're still live. We're
Are we
good.
still live?
We're still
Okay.
live.
I'm going to keep an eye over here on Ellen's thing and see what happens. We might lose it. We might lose Sheila. We'll have to try to get her back.
I'm the host now, so I see us. We're still live.
Oh, you do? Okay, great.
I'll give
Awesome.
it back.
Yay. Thanks for sticking with us. Technology is crazy. All right.
Hand off.
Good. Whew, I tell you, we think they have good ideas and sometimes they just go crazy. Yeah, my computer just decided that it had a problem and needed to restart. So that's what happened there. Okay, so I can't see what's happening with Sheila. So I'm going to talk and then we can just go back and forth and see what's happening. So I think I have everything. We got the water soluble stabilizer, also tape. So I found this tape, and I'm assuming that's what I need to have. It's embroidery perfection tape from Floriani. So, okay, great. So this is what we need too. So what's the first thing I'm going to do? So I got my pattern downloaded. It's on my computer. Well, computer / sewing machine. Right? Okay. So walk me through it, Sheila. What am I doing?
Okay, so the first thing you're going to do, you have it loaded up. You're ready to go, right?
I do. I have it. Let me see if I can find it again.
Okay.
I don't think that's it, but let's see. Nope. I'm still learning, you guys. This is really crazy for me. I had it yesterday. What happened to it? Oh no. Oh no, I said I did. Sheila, start talking.
Hey, I may be a step ahead of you. So after you get it loaded,
You definitely are.
your machine, what I do is the first step is a placement stitch. And I've already run mine, so I'll just show that if that's okay. I have the placement stitch run on the stabilizer already. And so this is kind of like a guide for us. It's where we're going to put our zipper. It's where we're going to place our fabric. The outlines on the front and back will show through. And so you'll actually be using these outlines to help you place your material.
I want to see what she's doing.
Oh.
Did you find yours? Did you find yours?
I did. I found it. So I just want to see what we're doing here.
So you're going to run your placement stitch number.
Okay. I gotta get my stabilizer in though. I didn't do that yet.
Yeah, you got to do that. Cutaway stabilizer is what you want.
Cutaway steel. Actually, I just had tearaway, so I'm using that. Okay. And I remember we talked the other day. So I'm going to talk my way through it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. So if I remember right, I have my big huge hoop because I only have two sizes. So I have a big one and a tiny one. Okay. So I'm going to use my big huge one. We talked the other day because I wanted to at least know something about embroidery before I got on here. And Sheila said it's really important to get my stabilizer in there really tight. So I have my big hoop down, my hoop on top of it, and I'm going to try to shove it all in at once, right?
Yes. Just even pressure all the way around with your two small hands and your
right, exactly. My two hands and my 8x12 hoop. Okay, so I've got it all in there. Is there a trick to tightening it? Like how tight do I want to make it?
Well, you want the stabilizer itself, you want you want it to have like kind of a little drum sound. But your hoops, your screws, as long as it's not loose, like that inner hoop is not easy to pop out. Like snug in there. So snug is the word that you're going for.
Okay. Okay. I think mine doesn't sound as drummy as yours.
That's drummy. Yeah.
It's drummy enough? Okay. All right. So I got that. So with this, all of this stuff here, I just leave that there, right?
Yeah.
Just leave all the extra hanging out of the hoop?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
And some people, like I've cut mine away, but that's just for the video. That's not.
Okay. But I can leave it. Okay. So now I'm going to stick it in my machine, right? And I'm going to do, oh, you know what I didn't do is wind another thing of bobbin. So we're going to have to do that in just a second. I'm going to do my first round, right?
Yes. Your first
my placement stitch. Is that what you called it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me see if I can remember how to do it. Oops. Okay. You're going to learn all the things that Teresa's like, not quite sure. What did it say I needed to do? Okay. So I'm going to do embroidery. Nope. I'm going to kneel this down. Here we go. Please wait a while. Okay. Now we're going to see if it'll work. Okay. If it doesn't work, Sheila, you're just going to take over and you're going to do all the sewing.
Okay.
Okay.
It's going to work.
I have to cut my thread and then I'm going to just let it stitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, if I understand right, this is how we know where to put our fabric every time when we're embroidering, is it will sort of stitch out this line that says, put your fabric here.
Yes. Now on most embroidery designs, this is called an in the hoop project. So an in the hoop project means that we're basically constructing a finished three-dimensional thing in the hoop. And so regular embroidery designs that are just like on my shirt, I have some embroidery on it. This didn't have a placement stitch. It might have had a basting box around it to hold the fabric down to the stabilizer, but it didn't have a placement. So you just put your fabric down, embroider on it, and then you go. But these in the hoop projects generally have a placement stitch just to help you know, because we're putting fabric on the front and the back of the hoop. So it's a little bit, we need some guides. So these are the guides.
Got it. So it's doing like it did a little box around and now it's doing the second line, that little line. And what is the second line for?
So that is a guide that's going to help us line up the zipper in the right spot. So that's
got it.
And so this is actually really good. You're doing the 5x9 size and I'm doing the 5x7 size. And I can see on your hoop that I call this the channel. Your zipper channel is on the other side of your hoop. And that's just the way your embroidery machine takes the design file. And so you may be working on, if you're stitching along with us today, if you're doing the 5x7 size, just know that your zipper is maybe on this side of the hoop by the part where it hooks in. Some embroidery machines have that hook part on this side. So the skinny part is the channel that we're going to need. Okay. So that's what we're working with.
Great. And what kind of machine do you have?
I have a Baby Lock. It's a Flourish 2.
Okay. Okay. Just so we know what we're dealing with and what the differences might be. Okay. So now I have a question because like I said, I forgot to replace my bobbin before I started and I know it's low and I ran out the other day and it was sort of sucky. So I don't want to do that again. So if I want to replace my bobbin now, can I just take this thing out and replace the bobbin?
Yeah, your machine will remember where you are in the process. So it's not going to mess up your design or anything.
Okay, I'm trusting you. And if it didn't, I'm just at the very beginning so I can restart. But look, that was some bobbin chicken I didn't really want to play today. There is not much on there. Not much at all. And that's not fun. Right here. There's not too much. And I tell you, like I ran out once in the middle of the embroidery and then I just threw it away because I didn't know what to do. So it was like mostly done. And then I was like, I guess I can't finish. So I'm trusting that I can. Okay, so I'm going to slide this baby back in all the way. Okay, so now I'm back in. So now I can do my next step, right?
So your next step, you're going to take your zipper. So you don't have to take your hoop off the machine. I'm just doing that so I can show you. And you have your zipper?
Yep, I got a zipper.
Okay, I'm going to walk you through what we're going to do. So what I'm going to do on my zipper, you can see that there's the metal bits. There's the part of the zipper pull, and there's these little stops that are at what you would call the bottom of the zipper, but we don't have a top and bottom right now because we're a side to side. So what I'm doing on mine is I'm making sure that the zipper pull and the little metal bits are outside the stitching line. And then you can line up your zipper a couple of different ways. You want these teeth to be right in the middle of this channel. And we're going to use a little bit of that embroidery tape that you have. I'm using, mine is really just painter's tape, but I found pink. So I was really excited about that.
Oh,
But
so
my-
we matched today.
Yeah,
It's
we
'cause I got
matched.
pink too.
But you know, it comes in all colors. So you can use it. The tape really depends on how your stabilizer reacts with it. So some people just use Scotch tape and that works for them. So, but that embroidery tape, I've heard it's really nice, but I just use my masking tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape it, but I'm not going to tape it anywhere where those placement stitches were. I'm going to tape it outside the line. So the reason I'm going to tape it down though, is so that the zipper is in the right spot. So the machine is going to stitch down the sides of the zipper, and then we're actually going to stitch our fabric to the zipper. And if you notice on mine, the zipper pull is where it's like facing up toward the ceiling. It's so
Okay.
I'm going to open it like I could open it from sitting on the hoop.
Okay, you could still open it now. Okay, so I'm going to put my zipper on there, and so I just tape it. I get the teeth in the middle basically.
Yeah.
And then
And
tape
you
it in
can-
place.
You can take and you can pull up your zipper so you can see that it's running straight down the lines in the middle.
Trying.
Or, you know, this is a neat little trick. I don't know. You can hold it up to the window. And you can see through the hoop. So you can kind of see through on mine because I've got some backlight.
Well, if I had any windows in my studio, I would. I think I can do this though. I think I can. So is it okay if I don't know if you can see mine, but like I have it kind of going up here. My pole is way past the end, and that's okay, right? I'll be able to move that back because I have an extra long zipper.
Yes, we're not going to do anything with the pull till almost the very end. So
Okay.
as long as it's
But
not,
I tape it closed, right?
tape it, it's
Closed.
It's all zipped up, it's closed. You're going to tape both ends so they're out of the way. And see, look, I need to move mine because mine kind of wiggled back in there. That metal part, I'm probably cutting it too close with a zipper. I should have gone longer, but it's going to work.
It'll work. I believe in you, Sheila. Okay, so I think I've got it. So now what do I do? Now I do another line?
So you put it back in your hoop. I mean, put it back on the machine. It's already in the hoop. And then you're going to run, there's 2 more steps. Whoops, mine went somewhere else. There's 2 steps. There's one for each side of the zipper. And so I have them as separate steps. Like you're going to just advance through both of them and let it stitch on both of them. But I have them as there's a stop in the middle of it just so you can make sure, because if you have to unpick anything, you don't want to have to pick out everything. You just want to have to pick out a little bit. So it'll stitch down one side and stop, and then you tell it to go and stitch down the other side. So we can do that.
Okay, so do I need to hold the zipper in place or anything like that?
Nope, the tape is going to do it for you.
Okay, I'm trying to get my thread out of the way. How important is it for me to hold the tails when we get started?
You can if you want. I don't.
Okay. I just read in the instruction book I was supposed to, so I do every time, but I was like, that might be something that I don't have to do. Okay, so now it's going to stitch. Oh, and we talked about the other day about raising the foot. So I raised it a little bit and I checked and I raised it 2 clicks, which I think was a 0.5 millimeter each.
Okay.
So I think it's at 3 millimeter now. Okay.
Your
So we have-
foot looks fine. Yeah.
Okay. So we have 1 stitch that came down. We can see, oh, there it comes. It's coming right at you. Look at that. All right. So we got 1 line of the zipper done. And then I do it again.
Yes.
Let's try it. Okay.
You're doing great.
Okay. Okay.
You know, and I think I say this all the time. I would so much rather put in a zipper with my embroidery and have to sew a zipper in on a garment. Like if I could figure out how to put a 22-inch zipper in on my embroidery machine, I'd do that every day. It's so much easier.
Okay, so now it's stitched down both sides of my zipper. It's not perfectly even.
Is it mostly, you know what? It looks fine though. So it's good. You're going to be good there. Your zipper is tacked down and that zipper material is pretty strong. So you're fine. You're fine.
Okay. Okay. All right. So then next.
Okay. So next you're going to take your Cuddle. So you have a piece of Cuddle for the front. And
I do.
I mean, you can tell us why we're doing this, but you want to make sure that your cuddle is going, the nap of it is going down. So we're going to pat the cuddle and we're going to put it's going to go down from the zipper to the bottom of the bag. So you want that's the way you want your cuddle to go.
Okay. So if I pet it, it's from the zipper down, feels nice.
And before you put it down, you're going to fold over just a little bit, like not even, I mean, maybe a half an inch on the other side of the top, the part that's going up next to the zipper. You're just going to fold that under about that much. Okay. So I found this in my little box of goodies. Let's see if we can get this in the light so you can see it better. Have you used this before? Yeah. Because I'm thinking I could put that along the edge, right? And turn it under? Yes, you totally can. Okay, I'm totally going to give it a try. Because it sounded like a fun thing. And I was like, folding it under half an inch. So is there a way that when you fold it under, if you don't use a tape, how do you keep it even across that top edge? Even-ish. It just stays that way. It does what I'm in charge of this. Okay, that's right. You are in control. Okay, I'm going to try it with the tape and see what happens. Okay, now I need to do this. You're going to make me buy new things. I didn't know I needed that. But here we are. Well, you know, when I do zippers in clothing and stuff and in other bags, I use Wonder Tape, which is very much like this, but only 1/4 of an inch or less. Yeah. And so I was I'm sort of curious if it'll work. So let's give it a try. So basically it's double-sided tape for anybody who hasn't worked with this sort of thing before. So I stuck it to the fabric. I'll pull the tape off. And then I'm thinking I can just fold this baby over and I'll get a nice crisp edge, which will make me happy because there are certain times that I like to be finicky. Fold overs are one of them. Okay. All right. So now I've got it folded over. Now I stick it on my zipper. Right. And you're going to bump it up. So you're not actually touching the teeth, but you're going to make sure that line is kind of right up next to the teeth. You don't want to cover the teeth. You don't want to go, you know, if you unzip it while it's got cuddle in it, so it's all going to get caught in there. So you want it just right up next to the edge. Okay. And I'm going to use, so what I'm going to do, I took the tape off of my zipper part, and I'm going to just use that tape to hold down my cuddle right where I want it. Okay. So I'm going to move my tape then to the sides and hold this. Do I need to tape it down across that fold at all? No, and I would not. And I'll tell you why, because there is, I don't like to sew over tape in general, but I really don't like to sew over tape and cuddle because the stitches really get the adhesive from the tape. They stick down even further. And so that makes me angry. Okay. So I have it in there. So now it's going to just sew right along that edge. Is that what I'm going to top stitch right now? Yeah. It's going to sew right along that same line that it sewed for the zipper to put the zipper down to the stabilizer. It's going to go right. It's going to do a nice, it's called a bean stitch or a triple stitch. So it's going to be a real strong stitch. Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's give that a try. Here we go. Okay. Get it sewing. We'll see if it'll do it. And if you need to, I don't know if you have your stiletto handy. I use it. But if you feel like it's wiggling, you know, you can use your stiletto to kind of poke it in the right spot. But we've taped it. You've got the tape on the inside. You should be good. Oh, I'm missing it. And that's because I didn't hold the stiletto down. Couldn't find my stiletto fast enough. Okay, so what if I miss the edge here? What do I do? Stop. Go ahead and stop your machine. Is it not caught at all? I did that earlier. Okay, I think it caught. Okay, let me see. Oh, nope, look at that. It just got the fibers. It just got the very fibers. So that means I didn't put it up far enough, right? Toward the teeth? Yeah. And probably the pile of the cuddle, you know, you kind of have to outthink it. So it looks like it's close, but it's really not that close. Okay. I have to find both my blade and my stiletto, which seem to have gone missing. Of course. Here's my little old. So I'm just going to take the stitches out, right? Yeah. Just slice the stitches out. Yeah, that's a perfect tool to use. The Fomori one, you know, the one that looks like an old razor. Yes. Mm-hmm. So that actually is really nice too because you can just slide it straight under there. Mm-hmm. And you know, you could use a seam ripper, but that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work, and I really like blades. So
But I am wondering where my stiletto went because I would like it right now. So I might have to run downstairs and go get it. Okay, so it caught the first little bit and then it moved. So I can just hold that down next time, right?
You can.
So with
or
the
you
stiletto,
can, you
okay.
can, if you pull it a little bit taut from one side
Mhm.
and then really like make sure. So that's a long run too. So yours is going a little bit longer than mine went. And so there's
Mhm.
more wiggle room, obviously. But
Right.
if you'll, this is one of those things. And this is what I think kind of why I said this is kind of an advanced beginner
Right.
thing.
No,
But
this is great because you know what I did is that I put my fabric down where I thought it should be top stitched. But what happens, I think, is when I was watching it is that the foot kind of moves it a little bit to the side, pushes it a little this way. So then it was just barely catching the edge. And when I felt like, oh no, it's getting off, then I couldn't really push it back with my fingers. That's what I need my stiletto. So I think I'm going to actually run downstairs and go grab my stiletto because I'm not sure where the one I had up here is. So Sheila, talk about the next step. How are we
okay.
gonna fix this? Do I need to take out all those stitches?
No, I wouldn't take out anything you don't have to take out. And so like if something happens at the very beginning of the bag, like you could even like you could use a seam ripper and just kind of pick individual stitches out of the back. But really the easiest thing to do would be to kind of peel it and work out each of those stitches one or two at a time and give it a gentle tug. As long as you're only cutting the stitches away from the top layer and not from the zipper, your zipper is going to stay in place. Your stabilizer is fine. You're not cutting through the stabilizer or anything. Just go gently and slowly and kind of pull those out of the way.
Okay, so the placement lines that is already in there, I'm going to leave it. Right. I'm going to pull this back over where it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Tape it down. Now, how do I go backward? How do I repeat that step?
So on your machine, on the screen, down, let's see. I'm looking on yours. Do you have a thing that has a thread? Mine has I
have a plus minus thing.
Plus minus, that's it. Plus minus.
Okay.
And it should say something like -10, -100.
There we go. So what should I do?
I would go, I don't know how many. I have my map. I can see how many are in that map. I would go -10 at a time until you get back to the beginning of that line. Because there's only.
Oh, I'm going to go 100. See what happens.
Okay.
Because it goes forward and backward, right?
It goes forward and backward. Yeah.
Twice. Yeah. So it's going to be 500.
Well, because there it went to there. There we go. So now it's going to go back up to the top. Okay. I think I got it. I think I got it. Okay. So I'm going to get my threads, if I can, out of the way. And we're going to start back up here at the top. So this time I've nudged my Cuddle kind of right next to the teeth. I was a little scared to do that last time, but I think that's what I needed to do. So if you're watching along, you can see that I've got some thread bits here, and I'm just not going to care about those until I'm done because I can probably take some tape to it and pull them off later. Okay, so let's try this again. Get my handy dandy stiletto.
We've I've heard before some people like to trim off some of the pile just a little bit, so you could totally trim off a little bit of the fluff at the zipper part if it's too close.
Oh, okay.
As long as you're not cutting into the fabric, you'd be fine because you have 3 millimeters,
right?
Millimeter, and you'd be okay.
So this is definitely one you want to do with Cuddle 3 and not with a Luxe Cuddle 2.
You could try it and see what happens. I thought about that this morning.
Now, if I wanted to do it without a zipper and just leave a pouch up at the top, could I do that?
Yes, but there's much easier ways to do it.
Okay. Okay. Whoa, scaring me. Okay. Okay. Get my threads out of the way. I got some long thread tails because I moved it around and took thread stitches out. Okay. So now,
now we're ready to put water soluble stabilizer on. Okay. So you'll need to get a chunk that is, if you look on I keep putting mine way over here. If you look on the stitch map, so it has kind of a diagram of the design, and you can see that the lettering is just kind of in the bottom quadrant of the bag.
Right.
So you don't need a piece of water soluble stabilizer that goes over the whole thing. You just need something that's about a little bit more than half.
Okay, because I made mine the same size as the whole bag, but I could probably chop that in half
Yeah.
and not use as much, not waste as much, right?
Yeah. So, and
All right, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna chop it in half.
and you can get some vendors have stabilizer, like you can get cuts. So a pre-cut, and usually they're made for like people that do caps. They need the stabilizer at the frame of the cap. And you can get they're like 3x6, I think, or 3x8.
Oh, okay.
And so you just need a little bit. And most of the time when you're using an in the hoop project, you're not going to be stitching over the whole entire hoop.
Right, right. So do I tape that down too? I'm assuming I do.
And I'm going to tape that on the Cuddle. I mean, if you
Okay.
have, if yours is big enough, you could tape it to the hoop or to the stabilizer outside the design. But I'm going to tape mine right on top of the Cuddle.
Okay.
As
So
long,
if this, because this is a little funky for me to do it. You guys can't really see like the weird position I have to be in to get myself around this and tape it up. But so if I wanted to take it out, this is a time I could take it out and put it back in, right? The whole hoop.
yes, yes. You can
Okay,
just-
because this is a little funky. Okay. Okay. So
And you've got your, so it's going to stitch the word shine before it stitches time to.
okay.
There's a good reason that I did it that way, because I wanted that second, the time to part, I wanted that to be kind of like a background thing. And I think in the bigger size, the eye, there's a reason. And but it stitches backwards. I think the dot, I wanted something to be on top so it popped differently. So you're going to stitch the word shine first. So it
Okay.
walks you through that on the tutorial. So you want shine, and so pick your
Okay.
color for the thread for that.
Okay. Too many things in my hands and not enough hands. Okay, so I'm gonna do nice and red. So I've got the green zipper and I'm gonna do red words because I realized today that we actually don't have that many weeks toward Christmas. So I'm gonna do sort of a Christmassy thing.
Looks like a watermelon.
Oh, I guess it does look like a watermelon too. Okay, fine. I was thinking Christmas. You're thinking watermelon.
Still
You're
summer.
Still in summer, exactly. All right, so I got my thread changed. This one actually has a needle threader that still works. I haven't broken that one yet, guys. So I have my needle threaded already. Okay, so now I'm just gonna stitch.
Yep.
Is that right, Sheila? Is that what I'm doing?
You're just gonna stitch. You got
All right, let's see if it happens. Okay, and I'm going to trim this thread. This is always the exciting part for me because it's so crazy and it's not something that I could actually ever do. Like a zipper I can put in, but this sort of thing, I couldn't do this if I try. Like hand embroidery is not my thing and it still doesn't look quite the same. There's something real fancy about this.
Well, and there's people that can do, I mean, they can use their sewing machine and do really amazing free motion embroidery, but I was never able to master that. And so I knew I wanted an embroidery machine just as soon as I learned that there was a thing.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It's really a beautiful process. And I'm gonna just show, so on this one, see how I did the contrasting lettering? And I've got one. I was going to talk about how the sometimes we're using water soluble stabilizer on the Cuddle, and I brought I brought a couple of things that I used it for and then I didn't use it for because I wanted to show you kind of what happens. So this little stuffy, this is just a little stuffed animal design, but I didn't use water soluble stabilizer on it. And I don't know if you can see, but the details of the edges are not real crisp because the stitches sank into the fibers. And then when I use the water soluble stabilizer, I'm going to get real crisp lettering. The stitches are still sitting on top. And so anything that has like a fluffy, like if you would use terry cloth or velvet, if you're stitching on, but of course the Cuddle, you would use that water stabilizer on top.
That was what I found because I tried one of those little stuffies. I think I did the little rabbit the first time and I put it on sideways and I didn't use the water soluble stabilizer. And yeah, it just came up through all of those little stitches and it's just kind of fuzzy now in the ear, which it wasn't supposed to be. So it's interesting that it makes such a big difference.
Yeah. There's another embroidery technique called knockdown stitches, and you get a file, like lots of designers have them. They're free all over the internet. You can get what's called a knockdown stitch file, and a knockdown stitch is going to flatten the cuddle, so you don't have to use water soluble stabilizer. But then you're going to spend time stitching a background. It's really like a you know what? I've got some in my lap. In this design, I used what's basically a knockdown stitch back of his eye. So it didn't really change the color, but it flattened all the stitches so that the next parts of the eyeball, they're not falling into the stitches. They're not sinking down there.
Got it. Yeah.
So that's a knockdown. And there's different kinds of knockdown stitches. This is just like, it's called a sketch stitch. But what's neat about a knockdown stitch is that it's still soft. So if you have water soluble stabilizer on there, and then you stitch over it, we're going to pick all the soluble stabilizer off, which is fine.
Oh, so with the knockdown stitches, you don't have to take the stabilizer out.
No, you don't. And it's neat because it's still soft. Like it still has some of the same soft texture of the Cuddle. So it's actually it's just a different way to do it. And you could totally take out the lettering or stop, if you have embroidery software, which is a whole nother thing. I don't know if you're ready for that.
Right. Give me a couple more projects.
But you could take off you could take the lettering out of the bag, add a knockdown stitch file in there, and then put your own. You can put a monogram or a name or anything, and then not even have to use water soluble stabilizer. So,
got it. Because the water soluble stabilizer, we would talk about, you don't want to use, even though it's water soluble, we don't want to use water on it to get it out of here.
yes, not
Okay, if it were cotton, would I want to use the water? Would I just spray it with water if it were cotton?
you could,
But still, you'd rather
that's another thing. I wouldn't spray it. So and this is kind of a trick I learned from the commercial embroidery side of things. You can spray it and it will dissolve and it'll go away, but it'll dissolve, but it's going to dissolve down into your fabric. So to me, because it's a texture thing for me, I don't want gooey, sticky in my fabric at all, ever.
right.
The commercial trick, which is actually kind of cool, is to get a tennis ball, get a bunch of your scraps of water soluble stabilizer and kind of layer them wet on the tennis ball. And then you use your tennis ball as like a pouncer to pick up the rest of the water soluble stabilizer that's on there. So it's kind of, but you have to hold the damp, icky tennis ball. So
Got it.
that's a way. So you're not really
Interesting.
you're not spraying to dissolve in like you would with a water soluble marker. And I think that's where
Right.
yeah, we're not spraying it to dissolve it in. We need to get it out. We need to lift it off.
Got it. So it's definitely easier to pick it out than to try to get it wet and get it out. That makes sense.
You could throw the whole thing in the wash afterward too, and that would be fine. That's what people do with their when they do towels. You just run it through the laundry on, not a detergent cycle, just with water, and it'll come out. So.
Got it. So if it were a clothing piece that we're going to get washed a bunch, that'd be an easy way of doing it because you wouldn't really have to. It's going to agitate it out and it'll be fine,
Yes.
right?
Or anything like a blanket for a kid. So if you're embroidering on Cuddle for a kid's blanket that is going to need to get washed the next day, you can leave it in. You pick out most of it. So if you're giving it as a gift, you want to pick out as much as you could. But if it's, if it's just a project for your own kid and you know that tomorrow you're going to have to wash it anyway, just leave it in.
Right. Got it. So what other kind of toppers are there? Are they all just water soluble toppers or are there different kinds?
There are different kinds. And the water soluble version, there's different kinds of water soluble. There's some that look more like saran wrap that are more clear. The kind that you're using and the kind that I'm using are kind of a fuzzy, foggy look to them. And it's just different manufacturers have different kinds. So that's another thing too. So I've learned what I like, and so I buy a lot of it. And if you're new to this, then you want to start with the little package in case you don't like the way it works so much.
So is part of like which stabilizer you use, is part of that which kind of fabric you're using, and also just personal preference onto what you like best?
Yeah, it's like a recipe. What you like in your pasta. So
right.
the spices you get. So it's really just figuring out your own personal recipe.
Got it. Okay. Very cool. Good.
Okay.
Good. Because yeah, I feel like a lot of this, I mean, with learning any new skill, there's so much available. There's so much to learn, and so many different ways that you can do things that it's kind of, I'm not sure where to start. So this is actually super helpful. Is there a way to find out how many stitches are in this?
Yes. So on the design page where I sell the design, I'll tell you how big it is in decimals, and then how many stitches are in the whole design. But also on your embroidery machine, you can see, like on mine, I'm not sure how close we are, but I have a thing that tells me that there's going to be 6,000 stitches in the design, and we're on stitch number 3707.
Oh, okay. I see it on mine, and mine says 9,356 stitches.
You got more. Yeah. Yours is
Yeah,
big.
because I'm doing the bigger
Bigger
one.
one.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then,
So what do you know what these numbers, the other numbers are up here? I think this
Sewing
is
time.
12 minutes out of 19 that it's going to take me, right?
yes.
And then do you know what 5 out of 12 different threads I'm going to use?
So that's 5 out of 12 different steps. So the way your embroidery machine sees the steps is it in the design, those steps are actually a different color, but this isn't in the hoop project. So the colors don't really mean anything. So a lot of people want to, like if you're doing an embroidery design that's like a picture that you're putting on a garment or on a tote bag or something, you kind of want to know what generally the designer had in mind for the colors, so that you're using, you know, a similar shade of colors. But for in the hoop project, we put different colors in those steps so that the machine will know to stop, so that you have to change your thread.
Oh, got it.
But we're just gonna keep stitching. It's not
We're almost there.
Yeah.
We're on the E.
You know,
We're getting there. It's
There's
kind of
a-
amazing how fast it stitches.
yeah, I couldn't do that by hand. I couldn't do it by regular
No.
sewing machine either.
No, I don't even think my industrial machine sews that fast. It's crazy how fast it is. Yeah, it's beautiful. And so when I'm done with this one, I'm not going to do anything to the stabilizer. I leave it till the whole project is done, and then I pick it out, right?
Right.
Well,
Well,
what if I didn't get it high enough? Because I think I don't have enough on my above it for a
water
time.
soluble stabilizer.
Yeah,
You-
I think I chopped it too short.
You have a scrap sitting next to you somewhere?
I do. Because you see where my shine is and where my soluble stops. I think the time to shine or time 2 is above that.
Just grab a scrap and like stick it on top. It's not
I'm
gonna
gonna
hurt.
do it.
Yeah.
So much for saving my stuff. I was like, oh, I can save it. I won't have to use the whole piece. I should cut it in half. Remember I did that? Yeah, that was probably not my smartest move. Shrug. Oh well. I tried.
You know, there's on the
See, one of these little scraps, so this will be perfect for another little bunny though. See? See,
there
it's
you
gonna
go.
be perfect. So just that's the excuse I needed to make another one because they're just so darn cute.
You're ready for
Okay.
the next project.
I am. I'm ready for all of them. This, as long as it doesn't mess up too badly, I'm okay. Okay, so now I'm going to change my thread again, right? Because I'm doing the other
Yes, if you want a
up
different.
above. Okay, now I have a question. Can I use, excuse me, can I use regular thread, or I have a bunch of Floriani and I have a bunch of, I think it's called Glide,
Yes.
that I have for embroidery. Do I need to use embroidery thread? And if so, why?
So that's kind of a that's another personal preference. There's people have really strong feelings about
Okay, it's like
the thread
washing, pre-washing or not for quilters probably.
Yeah, and normally people that do embroidery on garments like rayon thread because it's softer and it doesn't it's not as stiff when it stitches. So we're using the lettering on this is pretty dense. So we're using I generally use polyester thread in most everything, but I don't do a lot of embroidery on garments. I do in the hoop project. So I use polyester thread and Glide, Floriani, Isacord. I think Superior even has a really nice line of embroidery threads that are polyester. Those are all really great threads. And you'll find, and again, it's another part, like it's the recipe. So
got it.
some
And probably
machines-
a little bit about what your machine likes, because I know I have machines that don't like Aurifil and I have other machines that love it.
yes,
So I
I-
think, yeah, sometimes like personal preference is a thing, even with machines.
right.
Okay, so I'm going to do the next line of stitching here. Get my little tail. Okay,
You know what's fun? This is actually almost done.
it's crazy. And we talked about yesterday, don't leave your machine to just do the stitching and not watch it. I remember. I wish I brought my little sample.
I don't do that.
Yeah, this is one of those hard lessons. So I'll post a picture on our I Love Cuddle group, you guys, because I'm doing the Kimberbell love notes, and I decided I would leave it and let it stitch by itself, and that wasn't my smartest choice. So it made a whole new word is what it did when it stitched it out. So I'll show you. So I learned I'm going to watch this. So when it goes between letters, Sheila, I noticed that it stitches, sometimes it leaves a little stitch, but sometimes they actually cut the thread completely and then move on to the next. Does that cause a weakness or anything, or is it fine if it cuts the thread?
No, it's fine. So in the digitizing, there's actually a little tie off underneath that you don't really notice while it's stitching, but it's part of the digitizing, so that and then it really depends on your machine if your machine cuts the jump threads or not for you. And then there's a setting in your machine that you can tell it you want those are called jump threads, and you want it to cut them if they're over a certain number or under a certain number. And so I have mine set pretty tight. Like I don't want to cut a lot of jump threads at the end. I don't like to do a lot. I like it when I cut it out and turn it inside out. I want to be done. I don't want to spend time cutting. So I have my tolerance set pretty low. But if you're not comfortable with that, you can always go back. You can leave it long. What I don't like about jump threads, though, this is a personal preference. So on some machines, if they don't cut the jump threads, the presser foot, as it goes back and forth over the design, it becomes hot. So I try to, and this is just the thing, I think it's something that I figured out really early on, that it made me angry when there were lots of lines going back and forth. When I draw the line out, I try to make sure that those jump threads aren't in there. I don't want anything getting caught. So
Got it.
are you faster than me? Is yours almost done?
What was that?
I feel like we're in a
faster?
race. Like yours is going faster than mine.
Maybe. I'm at the E.
No, I'm done. Mine's done, but I had less stitches to go.
That's true. So I'm very close. Very close. Okay. So when I'm at this point, then do I take my stuff off, or I'll just leave it on, the water soluble stabilizer?
I'm going to pull mine off now. And the reason is because I used tape on there. And so I want to get the tape out of the way because we're going to do some other things. And I don't want any of that. I don't want to accidentally stitch over anything.
Got it.
So I'm going to show you. I'll show you how I do mine. And then when you get to yours, we'll do yours too. So here's my tape all over the place. And I'm going to peel my tape off. You know what? We forgot a step that I forgot to tell you about.
Oh no.
We just
You do this like me, Sheila. This is great. Thanks.
What we should have done, and it looks like yours is fine, and it looks like mine is fine, which is kind of a miracle. But what we should have done is before we started the lettering, we should have lifted this up, given it a little spritz of 505.
Oh, right.
But it, everything worked out and it's good here. But that's just a little bit of extra security for the Cuddle.
So that's why, like, because I can see that mine has a little bit of wibbliness right here.
Yeah, and it's going to be fine because it's going to stitch down at the end, and it's not that far from the edge. But that would sort of help keep that from happening in the first place, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Mine has a little bit too, but it's going to be just fine. So did you see what I did? I just pulled mine off, and because the stitches kind of cut around the edges.
Oh, thanks.
She still has to get 2 in there.
He realized I stopped it early.
Okay.
It would just be time shine.
Time shine. Which might be a thing somewhere.
Okay, we're gonna let it stitch out the 2.
Okay, I'm gonna show you what I'm doing. Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, so when I'm spraying it with the 505, because I love the 505 spray. But how do I get it so it doesn't go all over the hoop and everything?
Oh, a pizza box. So I know when you're doing the bigger projects that you use a sheet or something behind your fabric. And you can do that. You could use it the same setup. With embroidery projects, I feel like we're spraying such a small area in the hoop that you may not want to set out a whole sheet or something. So actually save the box. It's my pandemic. I got to get a scale to figure out my health. kind of thing. And so I saved the box for my scale, or maybe you have a pizza box that didn't quite get gross.
Right.
And
And
then
then just use that.
I use that. I stick my thing in there. I give it a spray. And then the box edges, that was awkward. The box edges kind of keep that from the overspray from getting everywhere else.
Got it. Okay. Because we definitely don't want to do that in the machine. I would want to take the hoop out of the machine, take it over here, spray the back of it, lay it down. Right.
Yeah, you don't want to do this
Okay.
close to your machine at all.
Okay. That seems great. All right. So now it looks like I'm done. It did the little dingy dingy noise, and now it shoots it out for me. There we go. So now I can take all this stuff off, right?
Just carefully peel. You can see how it peels away pretty easily.
So do I care about all the little bits right now, or can I do that later?
You can do that later. And I'm just kind of picking mine out right now because I have the hoop in my lap.
And so what are you using to poke them out?
I'm using, these are from Kai scissors. These are the double
Oh, they're little curved tip ones.
applique scissors. And these are sharp point. They have a blunt point, but this is the sharp point. And I'm just picking it out. You could use your stiletto.
That's what I'm going to use. We'll see how that works.
It works great. And, you know, in between all these steps, I should have told you to, you know, pat it down to make sure that the nap's still going in the right direction. And it just gives you an opportunity to pet it.
Yeah, which definitely, I mean, this isn't stressful, but it definitely helps with stress levels when I cut the fabric.
Yes. Yes.
Keeps me in check.
It's like a built-in stress reliever for this kind of embroidery project.
Exactly. Okay, so I can just kind of slide my stiletto underneath here and then I'm pulling it up. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
You know, you do want to be a little bit gentle because you don't want to pull it up from the stabilizer, especially because you use tearaway stabilizer. You don't want to rip anything yet.
Got it. Because it sounds like it's just ripping everything. Oops. Sorry.
Mine's mostly done. I think there's a little bit in there, but I'm going to do that at the end.
Okay, and it stays underneath. So the stuff that's underneath the letters is just going to stay there.
Yeah.
Right?
You'll never see it.
Okay, so I see, like, because the way that it stitches down, that sometimes it holds the nap down just a little bit. Do I want to go and fluff that up, or do I just leave the nap stuff?
I don't, not in the lettering. So there's another place that we might fluff up the cuddle at the end. Maybe two places. It depends on what you
Okay.
feel like. But I'm not
Okay.
going to do that there. Oh, this is
All
the
right, so I've got mine mostly out. So then what's their next step?
Okay, now we're going to get one piece of the lining fabric. Are you using cotton for your lining?
I am using some, oh, this is from Hoffman. This is one of their batik fabrics. Okay, I didn't iron it very well. Sorry.
I didn't iron mine at all.
Oh,
So-
okay, then I don't feel bad.
You're going to take one of your lining pieces, and then you remember how we folded under the edge? You could use some of your tape.
Mhm.
We're going to fold under just a little bit on the back, you know, half an inch, not
Mhm.
more than that really. And I'm going to finger press it with my fingernail and give it
Okay,
a little
that's what I'm
bit
gonna do.
so it stays better. You can use your
I
tape.
use my stiletto. Look at this with my little initials on the back. But look, that's what this is for. It's for finger pressing.
That's clever.
See, I knew I loved this tool. I had a reason. Actually, I have about 20 reasons why I love this tool, but there's one more. All right, so now I've got it pressed. It's good enough, right?
Okay, so now take your hoop off the machine. You're not taking anything out of the hoop yet. Take your hoop off the machine, slide it out.
Okay. This is so scary. This is the part that I'm not going to get it back in right. Okay, so I got it out of the machine.
And flip it over.
Oh,
So we're working on the back of the hoop now. This is fun. Trust me.
okay. This is fun.
This is fun because it's magic. It's so great.
Okay, good to know.
This
All right,
is
so-
fun.
All right. I think
Okay,
it's
so-
very interesting.
So your part that you folded under is going to be toward the stabilizer. So you're going to pretend that this is the top and you've got the right side of your fabric. So this is my wrong side. And I've got that little fold. And I'm going
Right.
to toward the fabric. And then one of these placement lines, the bottom one. So we've
Yeah.
got that channel right there. The bottom one, we're just going to put that not even, it's got to cover that line, but you don't want it
Okay.
up to the middle of that thing. You just want it to cover. And so there's another line of stitching that's going to run next. It's going to catch this edge and stitch it
Okay.
down. So,
Okay, so it's going to stitch where those other lines are, right?
yes, but we're going to tape outside all around the edge of this so that this stays, it doesn't flop around on us.
Okay.
Oh, or we could use 505 spray. This is a good time to use it.
Let's do that.
Okay, I'm going to use my little box over here.
Okay, I'm gonna, okay. I'm just gonna spray it right here because I didn't prepare for that. I didn't buy pizza this weekend. I should have. Okay, so I just sprayed a little bit. Then I'm gonna put my cotton piece down so it overlaps the line that I stitched before.
Just a tiny bit. See, can you see it's
Okay,
just,
and now I know I can't pat it the way that I like to because I want to keep the stuff flat in there. I don't want it to get loose.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm carefully, and then I'm going to turn this over because then I can pat it a little, right?
Yeah.
Should I spray the under part of this Cuddle while I'm here?
you can.
Let's do it. Why not? Just keep that in place when it comes back around. I'll feel a little better about it. Okay, and those are my training wheels. And I need them right now. I really, really do. All right. So now I've got that. I'm going to have a whole bunch of these things to take out. These little bits. Okay, so I've got it taped down or glued down on the back. Do I need to tape it too?
You can tape it to the edge.
Okay.
And I actually, so you probably are better than me and you have the instructions printed out on the side.
I do.
Okay, because I jumped ahead.
That's all right. I'm not looking at them. I'm just listening to you.
Okay, but it's not going to make any difference. It's just going to put something down there that it's going to put the little tab part on.
Oh, okay.
But it's going to be fine because it doesn't affect anything because the stitching is actually outside the line a little bit. So it's just fine. We're just
Okay.
ready to go on as soon as we get that done.
Okay. All right. So I'm putting it back in the machine now.
Put it back on the machine. And did you get a little piece of fold over elastic?
I
Or
did.
ribbon? Okay. So
Mhm.
that's actually the step that we're going to do now. So we have the back
Okay.
already for after this, but what I've got my D-ring and I've got a little piece of fold over elastic. And the next thing that it's going to stitch a little placement line for us to put this tab on. So
Okay.
we'll just let it do that little tab. It's right along underneath the zipper where the zipper opening is. And it's just going to show us where to put the fold over elastic.
Okay. So let me make sure everything is where it's supposed to. Okay. And so this thread color doesn't matter, right?
It doesn't matter. And
Okay. So let's see. So now this is another one of those placement lines. So now I know where my fold over elastic is going to go for the tab.
right.
Okay.
You can see that I did not put the thread back in the machine.
Okay. All right. So what I want to do is I want to pin this in place, but I can't. I have to tape it, correct?
Right. And so you want to tape the tails going outside and you want it, hang on a second. Let me get this threaded and I'll show you.
Go for it.
I was talking, not threading my machine.
I totally understand. This is what happens to me all the time. I feel better because now I'm not the only one. So thanks, Sheila. Appreciate you.
Support.
It's looking so nice though, right, Huck?
I like it.
I think it looks good. I was going to use a red zipper is really what I wanted to do. And then I had that pulled out. And then I realized that my red zipper was an invisible zipper, which wasn't going to work.
That would work. You can do it anyway.
You think?
It'll just be,
Maybe I'll try next time.
but the zipper pulls on the invisible ones don't always have a spot to hang something from.
That is totally true.
Okay, so here's my placement. It's really hard to see. Let's see if I can pet that out of the way. It's my little placement stitch right there.
Mhm.
Very hard to see. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to put my tails so that this little tab is hanging off toward the middle of the bag, not toward the outside of the hoop. It's kind of
Okay.
counterintuitive. It doesn't make sense yet. And
And
so
how long should that little, should it be past the placement line? An inch? Half inch?
not an inch, maybe half an inch.
Okay.
Maybe. What feels
Okay.
good?
What makes sense to you? Do that.
Yeah.
So should I tape down my little, it's not a D ring because I didn't have a D. Sorry. It's a
that's fine.
rectangle.
Cute.
Should I tape this down too?
Not yet.
Not
because you
yet.
want this to
Okay.
hang straight. So the next stitch, and I've taped it way out of the way because again, I don't want to stitch on top of tape and then have it get stuck down in the cuddle.
Right. So that I think that's what I did. I think I did it right. But it doesn't feel very secure to me. I really want to pin it.
Okay. And you know what you can do? So you can use your stiletto too.
Okay, I got it. I'm ready.
So, and you can use your stiletto to hold that because the cuddle has a pile and so it's up. And I think I set my presser foot to like 4 millimeters. So I've got
Okay.
3 millimeters of pile, plus I had some stabilizer under there. Plus you've got the fold over elastic. So that's probably already at 4 millimeters. So I think this is what you were telling me earlier.
Yeah.
So
But I was having trouble.
mhm. So use your stiletto, but you gotta kind of move quick. Don't ever put your fingers there because they bite.
Right. No, that worries me a lot. Yeah. I don't want to do that.
I've done
Okay,
it.
so then I'm just going to stitch across that line again.
Yep, you're gonna stitch across that line. Mine came off because I didn't tape it well, but yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give it a try and see what happens. I'm going to try not to sew over my stiletto either. Ah, it did it again. Okay, that's what happened.
So
No.
on mine, I actually put the presser foot, I put it up under the presser foot before. And so it's already underneath there.
Okay, so I don't know what happened or how to fix that. Because I don't see a hole in there. And that's what, like, I'm like, where?
So trim your, you know what, just trim that little piece of,
I'm going to cut it right out.
yeah, just cut it out.
I like, can you see these scissors? Look at the huge scissors I have. For this teeny tiny little project. I'm like, I'm gonna grab my big ones. Okay, so this is what I'm confused about is what is it getting out? How is it getting stuck in there?
So that placement, it's the side of the foot. So see how your foot is it's kind of pointed on one side. So it kind of dug under first.
Yeah, I don't understand what it's getting caught on. It's so weird to me because there's no hole in here, but it literally gets caught through the foot. I'm so confused.
What I did is I put my foot, I snugged this fold over elastic underneath the foot before it started stitching.
So how do you do that? I guess I need to watch. Oh shoot, that's my only piece of fold over elastic. Let me see if I have enough here. Nope. Okay, so no fold over elastic for me.
Well, that's good. You know what? I'm going to do it again because I brought another hoop that's already ready for that spot.
Oh, good. Let's see it.
So
Then I'm going to practice
Give it a
this
tag,
one.
give it a tickle, please.
oh, you know what? And I actually, yeah. So I wrote the numbers, so which step we're on, so I can back up a little bit to that point. So let me back up just a bit. Forward. There we are.
See if I can find like a little piece of
I'm pulling off all my tape because I didn't do that on this one.
fabric.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Sure.
do the placement.
I need for the next piece.
Yeah, just a little bit. It went through too much. All right. I think. But see now this isn't on. All right. Well, I think I'm just out of luck. Darn it. I was really hoping.
You don't have a tab, it's okay.
But I want a tab.
You have a piece of ribbon? A scrap
I'm
of
trying, like I just don't like I'm in my Cuddle studio, which means I have a lot of Cuddle and not all of my other stuffs.
you can
So,
just take
that's
a
all right.
piece of- yeah. Do you have a piece of the background? I mean the inside fabric? Like a
That's
little
what I was trying to use. And then I think I just cut it too short. So maybe I'll cut it longer. How long is that tab supposed to be? 4 inches?
it's 3 inches. So
Okay,
that
I'm
gives
just going to do it out of one layer of cotton, so it's not going to be right.
but it'll be
um,
fine.
But at least I'll get to practice this because this is something that I want to get right.
Well, and so I've got my placement right here. So you already have your placement on there. So I'm going to show you how I'm putting it. So here's
Okay,
my
so
placement.
I'm gonna watch you and then I'm gonna try it.
To see where my placement is. Oh goodness, the nap. It's right close to that seam line.
Yep.
So I'm going to put this right up under there. I mean, it's way close to that zipper.
Okay, so I should move mine up. Okay, so I'm just gonna follow your directions here. We're
Now-
gonna do this.
Don't put your foot down yet. I'm watching you to make sure you're not putting your foot down yet. So
I'm
until
not, but I have to back up just a little bit. I have to do that little thing where we back up a couple stitches. Okay. Because when I started, I did one seam across already. Oops.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you see how, okay, so now put your foot down, but don't start stitching yet.
Okay.
Okay, see how it's kind of tucked under the foot?
Oh, and I started sewing with my thing over far enough that it caught it as it went left instead
Yes.
of riding on it on top. Got it.
That's
Okay.
where yeah,
See? Lesson learned.
you're good.
Okay, so now I can do it.
Mhm.
I just
You
tried
should
to
be able
push on my foot pedal. That didn't work.
Want to watch your machine. Come on. Yeah, it's going to be fine.
Oh, see, that was the trick. That was all I needed to do was move it up further close to the zipper. Got it. Okay. Cool.
So now,
Yay.
you know, you asked me about taping the hardware out of the way. Now we're going to tape it. We're going to get that hardware out of the way. So we're going to kind of pull it and then tape. I'm going to use that same piece of tape because it's fine. And I'm going to just pull that hardware down toward the lettering. So it's
okay.
So all we're doing now is we're going around, we're going to go around the zippers. We're going to go around the edge of the bag. So I just don't want this hardware piece to get stuck anywhere.
Okay.
So I'm going to
So did you do anything fancy? Is that right? Is this okay if I just push it like this?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then what do I do?
Okay. So now we've already got the backing on the back, which we would have.
Oh, right. Right. That's what we did before.
And so now we're going to run the next step, which is going to tack the backing, the lining. So that's the inside front lining that we just put on. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to run the step that's going to hold the front lining to the bag. Okay.
Okay.
So
just go.
Let it go.
Okay. It's really weird to not have to tell it what to do. Like it does it. And I'm like, oh, all right. There's that.
We just did it all on the back end. Like you did it all in the computer part.
Oh, so I didn't change my thread this time from my dark thread from the words, which is fine.
Fine.
So now it will match. But if I wanted my thread to stay the color that I had top stitched originally, I would need to go back to that color.
It's gonna fluff up in the fibers, so it's
True.
yeah, it won't matter.
Is it doing something weird? It did. What is it doing? I like lost my bobbin or something. Is that possible?
It didn't stitch at all.
It didn't stitch. I just have a whole lot of thread.
So
So did I lose my bobbin?
your bobbin thread may not have when you were trimming that tab out.
I might have cut
just
it. Okay.
Quick,
So I'm gonna take this out.
And you're gonna back up, back here.
And I'll back up my stitches a little. Yeah, because my bobbin is it's gone. There's no bobbin showing up there. There it is. Okay. So now I'll put it back in. Oops, gotta get my needle up all the way. Back in
We're
there.
almost done, right? We're almost done.
Right, I do. So,
Back. How many stitches?
nope. What do I have to do?
There it is.
All right, let's try it again.
Okay.
I'm gonna make sure.
And I'm gonna go and show you what mine looks like. What mine looks like on the back.
Mine got something funky happening back there. Oops, there goes my tape. So this is doing that little bead stitch. Is that what you called it?
Yeah, it's called a bean stitch. I don't know why.
Bean, like B-E-A-N?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Or triple stitch. Sometimes on a sewing machine, you call it a triple stitch.
Still doing weird things. No, I might be in trouble. Okay, just to here, I'm going to rethread my whole thing. It's doing funky things. And you're going to tell me what the next step is.
Okay. So did it not catch the back again?
No, it still did something weird. Yeah. It did it for a little while and then it decided not to. Yeah, like I don't quite know what's happening there. So I'm just gonna rethread my whole thing.
Okay.
And then we'll move forward because it did catch one row. It just didn't do the back one. So because we're just trying this, it's a sample, like we're fine. We'll just move forward.
Okay. Okay. So this is what mine looks like on the back. It's tacked down and you can see, so I'm using black thread just so you can see. You can see that line holds the lining on. It's secure there. So the next thing it's going to do is we're going to put, it's not in order. I mean, it's not in order the way you would think it needs to be in order. We're going to work, we got our second piece of Cuddle and we've got to pat it to find the nap, which way the nap's running. And mine's going down. So the top is going to go close to the zipper. So the upper part of the Cuddle goes by the zipper. And we're going to take our hoop on the front of the hoop now, and we're going to flip it face down.
Okay, so if they're right sides up, I have mine like right sides up. This is my back one. This is my front one that I just did. So these should both be able to pet together.
Soft to soft, yeah.
Okay, so then I'm just going to flip it this direction.
And then the top edge, you want to kind of line up. It doesn't have to be exact because we're going to trim some away, but you don't want to have to trim. You don't want to cut the zipper at all at the end. So you just want the Cuddle to be right over the top of the zipper. Okay. So I've got it so I can see through my hoop from the back side that the Cuddle is over that line and it's over where the zipper trim is. And this is actually kind of cool. So this is kind of a neat thing about this design of zipper bag. Some machines, their foot is shaped a little bit differently, and they some people have just kind of given up on ever being able to do an in the hoop zipper bag because their foot gets caught around the zipper. But I've kind of made this design so that that doesn't happen. So
got it.
What we're going to do, this is kind of like an open book. So we're going to do some things before we even sew stitches after we get done. And I mean, after the step, you'll see. So this next step is going to run, it's going to tack down this Cuddle to the top of the bag while the zipper's still closed. Our zipper's closed.
Right.
And we're going to run a stitch that goes from here to here.
Okay. And we're going to see if my machine has decided it wants to work now.
Let's see your bobbin thread.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Oh, let me trim that. Okay, we'll see. And my fingers are crossed.
Okay.
And I did tape it down. I didn't ask you if I was supposed to, but I did anyway.
Fine.
So is this stitching down right where it was stitching before? Right. On
Same line, yeah.
That seems to be stitching just fine. Just needed a good rethreading.
Okay.
That solves most problems anyway, so. Okay. All right, done.
Okay. So now you're going to take your hoop off again.
I really didn't even know you could take your hoop off before. I thought once you got your hoop on there, you were just stuck with it. Okay.
Okay, so now you're going to take your tape off.
Okay.
And then that piece that you just sewed down, you're going to open it up like a book. Okay. And then take your zipper now and pull it not all the way open, but just kind of about, maybe it's halfway, maybe it's a little bit more than halfway, but go ahead and open your zipper.
Okay.
Now your zipper, you can't go through all the way because you have stabilizer under there, right?
Right.
Okay.
So like I can't get past my zipper.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's fine. You're just going to leave it right there.
Okay.
Okay. And then you're going to flip this part back closed. Close your.
Okay. So I only opened it to unzip it.
Right.
Okay.
And then we're going to run the next step, which is going to go all the way around this.
Okay. And then do I tape this again?
You can.
Okay. I'm gonna.
Okay.
I need my training wheels. I'm still learning so much. And really, like we talked about before with working with Cuddle fabric, is part of it is like you can sort of be a little bit looser once you learn how it works. And I know how to work this fabric in a sewing machine, but in the embroidery machine, I'm definitely still in the figuring it out phase. Okay, so I'm gonna get this back in all the way, lock it. Okay. All right, so now am I stitching again?
Yep, just hit the button.
Hit the button. All right, let's do it.
That's what I tell my little guys when they want to help. I'm like, okay, press the button. You're sewing. You push the button.
Look at that. It's so easy. So I need to make sure, obviously I just stitched over the zipper. So I need to make sure I'm using a plastic foil zipper when I do this. And not a metal zipper, I would assume.
Yeah, I wouldn't use a metal zipper. I've done it before, and then what I've basically done is hand cranked it over the zipper area to make sure. Okay,
Okay, so
mine had,
I'm confused. Are you ready? You ready
Yeah.
for my question?
Yeah.
Okay, so we made a little, we did the L brackets on the other one, and now we just sewed that shut.
yes, because we're
So
almost there.
Okay, I'm gonna trust you on that one because that makes 0 sense to me. Oh, did you see that? That was not good. I tried really hard. I used a scrap that had a little cut in it, and I tried really hard to make sure that it would hide, and then it didn't. That's hilarious. You can see here's my little tear. It ended up just perfectly at the corner. Yeah. I have all of this extra over here.
Dun, dun, dun.
Could have totally moved it that direction a lot. And yeah, no, I managed to get that little spot right in it. That's some skill. Okay.
So what's going on with your machine, Sheila? It's something you said something was going on.
Did you see that?
What's happening?
Mine got caught because I didn't. I turned my back.
Oh, right. You never turn your back on your machine.
Yeah, I turned my back. So I'm going to go back to the step before, and I sewed all the way down. But you remember, you said you were going to tape yours down, and I said, "Oh, I'm
Yeah.
not going to do that."
Yeah.
So mine folded right here,
Oh,
and
oopsie.
caught itself on
I
there.
hope-
So when
I hope mine didn't do that back. Oh, I think mine did on the back too. Oh no.
So when I said tape it down, I really meant tape it down. I didn't mean wing it and don't do it.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So, but I think that my back folded. Do I take it out now?
Yes, you're gonna take it out now because we're gonna put something on the back.
Okay. But I think my back folded. Oh, it did.
It's okay.
Check it out, Sheila.
Oh, you sure did. Yours folded a lot. So this is what you can do because it's not a loss. It's not a loss. So this is what you can do is you can unpick the edge because it's going to go around again, except for the part on the bottom. So you can unpick that and let's get it.
This was my crazy bad. It was threaded weird thing that was happening.
Yeah.
So see, I feel like every time you guys, like I really do, I learned something that I'm like, okay. So something to figure out. Okay. So I'm taking out these stitches that I just did, right? But I don't have to back up this stitch. I can just use it in the next thing.
You can, and so it's gonna do something a little bit wonky at the end, but you'll see that, and we're gonna be
That's okay.
We're already ready for it. So
I'm good. I'm good with wonky. I like wonky things. Okay.
I'm doing mine here at the same time too.
Okay. This is great because honestly, like we talked about it before on Sew Together Tuesdays, is that like when things go a little bit wrong, it's really great to be able to learn what to do. And this is a place where I would take it out of the hoop and throw it away. So
well, and that you've got to decide how much time you've already spent on it, you know, and if it's worth it to do that. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not, you know.
True. And I think half the battle is just knowing what's fixable and what isn't.
Right.
And my little hole up there in the corner, definitely not fixable.
Well,
but you know, it's okay.
You could probably sew that by hand together at the end.
It's probably what I'll do. Yeah. Put a little patch over
have to
it.
do it before it gets stuck inside of the lining though.
No, it's the outside.
Oh,
no, it'll be fine.
Oh yeah, it's right on the outside for everyone to see.
But you would when you hand stitch it from the back?
Oh no, because it's Cuddle, I can totally hand stitch from the outside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Cuddle will hide all of those stitches. Okay, I'm almost there. All right.
Look on
So
the
this
back.
is, yeah, because I taped down my Cuddle, but I didn't tape down my backing.
Me too. Okay.
So this is I cut mine a little bit bigger than it really needed to be, and I think that that's part of it. Is then when I shoved the this guy back in, that's when it caught it and just pulled it up. because it was
That's
just
what
so
mine did.
big. Okay.
Mine's flapping off. Okay, so we did that front part, but we're still on the back. So because we worked on the back, we're still on the back.
Okay.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our second piece of lining, and we're just going to cover all of this area that's stitched on the back. We're going to cover the whole. So this is it. This is the last bit.
Okay.
I'm
So am I folding it over again like I did before?
No, you don't have to fold it over. You're just going to cover. Oh, you know what? Wait. Don't tape it. Don't tape it yet. Before we do that, this is the part where you were telling me we've got to open a little part for the zipper. And you could do this now. You don't have to do this right now. You could do it at the end, but I feel like cutting stabilizer is easier while it's still in the hoop for these zipper areas. So all I'm going to do, this is a really careful thing. So very, very, very carefully. You can use your tiny scissors. You could use a seam ripper. You're using tearaway stabilizer, so this is going to be easier for you than it is for me. But I'm just going to slice a line right through, like I'm only picking up the stabilizer with my scissors. And I'm
okay. So if I use my blade, I can probably, I can push my blade right between my zipper teeth.
Yeah, but don't touch the zipper don't touch the zipper with it.
See, that's why this blade is awesome though. It's because it's not very deep. So it was really easy to do that. Okay.
I think my blade is about 8 feet away. I can't reach it.
Okay. So am I cutting out the tearaway here?
Cut it out completely, or you can just slice it open. Whatever you feel like doing right now. So I'm going to go ahead and cut away. So I sliced it very carefully. I'm going to slice away all of my stabilizer, but you got to be really careful by the fabric because this is your lining and it's a folded over nice edge.
Oh, right.
Tear away, you could just tear that off on that side, but I'm going to cut carefully with
I'm going to try that because I do have a tearaway.
Okay.
So let's see if that works.
You just don't want to pull so much out.
So I'll pull gently. That's my really ugly top stitching, you guys, where my thread just went crazy on me. So this would be why I should have white thread on both sides too.
But it's going to be okay because it's actually going to be on the inside. So
it's on the inside. Nobody's ever going to see it. And if they complain about it, they're never getting anything from me. That's how I roll. You know, like it, last thing I sew for you.
One time.
There's no 3 strikes here. Okay, I think all those stitches actually can probably be taken out. Gosh, that's so ugly. Okay. All right, whatever. I'll get my little.
They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine.
They're fine. Nobody's ever going to look on the inside of the zipper, and if they do, that is just way too close. Okay, so I got that mostly cut out.
Okay, so
then I'm going to lay my cotton over the top of it
and tape it down the whole way. You know,
just tape it this time. You're sure, Sheila? I should tape.
I'm taping it. We're taking no
kidding.
chances.
Okay, I'm going to tape it. So we've got it. And again, this is the stuff that I got from Floriani. It's called Stitch Perfection tape, and I'm pretty sure it probably lives up to its name. Okay. Because I could have used it for the last one. Whoopsie. And you said you just use regular painter's tape, right?
Yeah, this is pink painter's tape. It's just like masking tape, except it's not as tacky. So I use it for all my embroidery projects, really. It's
okay. And I used, when I was practicing with the little guys, I used just washi tape. So this is washi tape. So like if anybody has that at home, it's just like the paper tape, and it's sticky a little bit, and then it loses its tackiness pretty quickly. But this worked great for it too when I was doing the little guys. So, okay. So I've got it taped down. I'm gonna stick it back in the machine one more time. Okay. I'm gonna try to make sure that doesn't get funky this time. Make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. Shove it in. I will
flatten everything down.
Okay, there's all my ugly stitches.
That's okay. Those are going to be fine. So that's let me just tell you what we're going to do for that.
Okay.
So this step, that first step, sealed with the front to the back so that the outside is completely finished, but we took some of those stitches. So this next step is only going to stitch an outline and leave a gap for us to turn the lining inside out. And then we opened the zipper part so that we could turn the full bag out through the zipper. But now we're going to have a hole on the bottom where we took out the stitches, but it's fine. So we're going to sew up the lining on the inside, but we're going to just sew up the lining, I mean, the outside too, the same way.
Okay.
So they'll be in
Okay.
the same place. So, but
Got it.
when we
Got it.
flip it, so we're just going to run that last step, which is going to leave an opening for us in the lining.
Okay. So if I wanted to, I could back up and I could restitch this whole thing, but
Okay.
instead we're going to go forward and I'm going to hand stitch the opening closed on both the cuddle and the lining.
Yes. So we're
Okay.
not going to, we wouldn't restitch it because we already put the back lining on.
Oh, right. Right. We couldn't do that now because then I would close all of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. So now I can stitch.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's give it a try and see what happens. So now we're doing that little L bracket, which I really like that you do that too.
Yeah, it makes so it's just such a nice fold in.
It makes a huge difference in lots of projects. Okay, I got really close to my tape there, but it seems to be okay. Now we're gonna go by my hole again there. Oopsie. I can't believe I cut so nicely. It's just perfect. Ooh, that was cool.
Okay, we're almost done.
Okay, so now this is top stitching my lining on the back side.
Yes.
Correct?
Yep.
It's interesting because it's a lot of physics on which layers are getting stitched in which ways.
Well, and it doesn't, it kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense until you get to the end. And then it's like, oh, well, that makes,
Total sense. Yeah. Ta-da, exactly. We're gonna get there. We are almost to ta-da.
This is my favorite part where it says finished embroidering.
See if mine will come up. There it is. Finished sewing.
Yay.
Look at that. We're done. Okay, except for the hand part.
Yeah, but that's,
That's easy.
really, and this whole bag, I mean, once I timed it, so it's 12 minutes of stitching, but with you fussing in and out of it, it really is only about
Right.
18 minutes to stitch the whole thing through without talking and stopping.
Yeah, that's not too bad at all if you know what you're doing. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So now I'm going to take tape off.
Well, you can take it off or you can just cut it away.
Okay.
And
then
the whole thing.
So I take the whole thing out of the hoop too, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So let me just untwist this guy, loosen that up, and this is going to pop right out. There we go. I'm going to set that aside over there. So you don't need a hoop this big, right? You can do it in a little guy. Yours is much smaller than mine.
You can. And I did my 5x9 and a 6x10 size hoop, but some people feel they need a little bit more room. So if you feel a little uncomfortable working that small close to the edges, you can always do a smaller project in a bigger hoop, but you're going to waste stabilizer. So
Got it. So that's it's like the cost of it.
it is.
Okay.
But stabilizer, in the grand scheme of things, the stabilizer is like it's a negligible cost. It's like your thread,
Right. That's true. Okay, so then I'm just going to tear all of this away, right? Because I used tear away, so I can just tear
You
it
can
away
tear
from
it
those
away.
edges.
Yeah.
So if I used cutaway, then I would get in here carefully with my scissors.
You know what? I just left my cutaways all still on. So I'm not going to do I'm just going to cut it with the fabric away. And
Okay, so what do I do about this edge right here from where my stabilizer is? Do I just cut it with that long edge? Like at the bottom of the L's, do I just cut the stabilizer here?
you can. And actually, since you're using, you can.
What else could I do?
You could just not do anything. I mean, you could just leave it and it would be fine.
Got it. Okay, well, I'm going to tear it away from all of my edges here because I don't want it in my seam allowances personally. And then I'm going to cut all of this fabric down to a 1/2 inch seam allowance.
I go between a 1/2 inch and 1/4 of an inch. So
Okay.
I cut pretty close. And the only place that I'm really careful is like, I want to cut a notch kind of down into the corner, but not terrible.
Uh-huh.
Not all the way down to the seam, of course, but I want to cut in there so it gives the fabric some room to
To
move.
turn.
And then
Right.
I cut across the corners a little bit closer. So I'm still leaving about 1/4 of an inch, but it's just a smidge closer.
Okay.
I'm just going to cut around that outline, and I'm cutting everything off. And then
Okay, so I'm
around
cutting
this,
through all the layers at one whack. That's what I'm doing. That's fine.
which is actually perfect because the part where we both oopsed, we're going to need that tab on both of them. So across that, I'm just, just cutting across that blank space.
Got it.
And then, I cut my corners down.
That does not feel as thick there, and I don't know why. Okay.
And you can kind of feel, when you get to the zipper, you can feel it in there. So just
Okay, so when I did my corners here, so I'm like cutting down the side, and then I just cut these off right here. Oops, I didn't cut that all the way. Let me do that again. Let me get that back layer. Okay, and then my corner, I just whack this off, just the corner.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and then this the same way.
And on a regular sewing project, you'd be worrying about the Cuddle dust and like you cut this all off. So you can shake it off if you want, or you can just leave it because we're going to flip it and it's going to be inside and you'll never, ever have to deal with it again.
Totally fine. So all of my ugly little stitches here too, I'm just like, they're just going to stay there and hide inside.
What's
okay? Yeah, there's no ugliness here. So I would stitch it, or I would turn it inside out through the lining.
Through the
correct?
lining, right? Yep. So we're going to go, and if we had not had that bubble there, we would not, we would only have the lining to turn through. So we're going to turn that inside out.
Okay, but I can feel all the stabilizer in there, and I just keep that, right?
I'll just leave it. Because ordinarily, like without the oops, we wouldn't be able to get to it.
Got it. Okay.
It's just in there. And
will
then,
that soften up with wear, or is mine just going to be a little stiffer because the kind of stuff I used?
Yours is going to have a little bit more body, and that's going to be just fine.
Okay.
And then, you kind of want to poke your finger into the corners. I wouldn't use anything sharp at all, like not on this part. Just use your fingers and get the corners out nice.
Oops.
And you can see we opened up that edge. So now we can get our zipper. Our zipper was open. We made an opening for it.
Right. It came right through.
But before we do that, that little part where the that opening that we left, the lining is going to fold nicely. It's just going to tuck in there, and we're going to stitch that closed by hand sewing.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take all my scraps, because I use cutaway stabilizer and the Cuddle, and then I have cotton fabric. I'm going to put these in my stuffing bag. So I just save my scraps, because in the hoop project, leave a little scraps. And I use my Cuddle scraps, especially. I mean, I use cotton scraps and I use cutaway scraps, but I stuff them inside stuffies.
Oh, so these little guys, you could use that and stuff inside of these.
Yeah. And then I mean, stuffing's cheap, but I have this. This is free.
Right. Exactly. Otherwise, it's just trash. Might as well use it. Okay, cool. Oh, look at that. Okay, so mine has a little goob here because I goobed it. Sorry. Okay, but we can fix it like always. Have to figure out how that folds in. Oh, I see. Okay, I'm gonna flip it this way, because now this wants to flip. I have to flip them separately. Mine are a little sticky still because I had some the base. Oh, I needed to, let's see. No, they have to get turned this way. Is that right? How do I get those to turn? I have to like figure this out. The logistics of this is confusing me.
So you're just turning the lining. Yeah, just turn the lining in.
So I'll stitch that, but then I got to come back over here and I got to do a little funky stitching over here too. Okay, so I'm just going to push that in right now so that I can move that out of the way so we can see how it would look if I hadn't messed up the bottom.
No,
but I can fix it, so I'm not too
worried. I'm going to turn mine inside out too. And you can take your tape off the tab.
I did that. I moved it. I'm going to use my little stiletto booty and see if I can push that up.
And then if you right by your zipper, yeah, tuck that in. So the zipper truly isn't on the top of the bag, top edge.
Right. It sits
really
right
on
on
the
the front top.
So you can take your finger and push out those corners to give it a nice finish. And
Got it.
in the instructions, I say if you want to, you could add a second line of stitching with your sewing machine along the top,
Along right here.
inside right, to hold that lining down a little bit flat so it matches the front side. But it's
Got
totally
it.
optional. So mine is far enough away from the zipper here. You can see that it's not in the way. It's just a
Totally.
it's
Oh,
what you
yeah.
do.
Yeah, no, that looks totally fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind that at all. Oh, that's very cute. Look at that, you guys. We made a little zipper pouch.
You did
Okay, I
it.
got some more little bits to take off here. And I have some hand sewing to do.
And you can use, so while you have your stiletto out, I'm going to show you the edge of mine. If you want to, you can take your stiletto down the side seam and put that out, and it looks so cool. I mean, it really looks seamless once you fluff the fibers out.
Oh, yeah.
We did that one.
Cuddle's great that way.
It is really amazing. And this one, no, that's not the one. I had one where I did that same mistake. Let me see if I can find it. Where I cut the bottom out, and you can't even see where I hand sewed it on the outside because the
Yeah, because Cuddle's great like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
it just feels so
Hi.
good. It's so nice.
All right. Well, I didn't see any questions because we can't see the questions today. So we're gonna have to answer any questions later. Sorry, guys. New technology means that it works in different ways. So we'll answer questions. The pattern is available through, tell me again the website.
ScienceByBabyMoon.com.
There you go. So that's where we got the pattern. They're designed by Sheila. She is one of our brand ambassadors, so she's available to answer all the questions too. So we will make sure that she's looking at the questions and answering them as well. So thanks for joining us. This was super fun. Look at, I made a little bag, you guys, like all on the embroidery machine. It's super crazy. It's really wonderful. So thanks so much for all of the help, Sheila. This is great. I can't believe how well it turned out. And anyway, so thank you. I'm going to keep practicing and doing all sorts of things. It's kind of amazing to me that you can make the entire thing actually on the embroidery machine. I'm so used to sewing everything. That's kind of weird. So fun stuff. Thank you very much. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add, Sheila?
No, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. We have a winner. We're going to send you, we'll send you the digital files as well as a kit that includes the zipper and the fabrics for your own little embroidery project. So the winner is Karen F of Granite Bay, California. So congratulations, my fellow Californian. And oh, there's my little hole, you guys. Look at that. The zipper pokes right out. It's a practice. It's fine. It's fine. It's good. The next one will be great. So much more coordinating. So thank you very much for coming. I appreciate everybody. Make sure that you join us on the I Love Cuddle group. If you are not there, it's another Facebook group that we are all a part of as consumers. It's a great one. We can share our projects and talk about things we want to show off or answer questions about. Also, we will be posting this on YouTube and Instagram later. You can find all of our videos there. And I think that might be it. We are back. Oh, next week, we're doing a special, another version where basically we're not here. So I'm going to actually take a week away. And so we'll be doing a pre-recorded one next week. I think we're doing the Pat. We're going to finish up Pat and putting his body together. So Pat the Penguin, which is really super cute little kit. So we'll have all the pieces for that. And then we'll be back in a couple of weeks with another project and more projects. And we'll just keep doing Sew Together Tuesdays. So thank you very much, Sheila, for your help today in teaching me how to embroider with Cuddle. And I am looking forward to being back in a couple of weeks live with you guys. And until then, happy sewing.